The scriptures today give us something of a sandwich. On the first side of the sandwich, we have Malachi harshly condemning the priests of his time, who, as Clarissa introduced to us, were fudging on the sacrifices. They were offering unblemished animals. That's not what God wanted. And they weren't teaching the people. So Malachi strongly berates the priests of the people. On the other side of the sandwich, Jesus has strong and critical words for the scribes and Pharisees of his day. In the middle of the sandwich, Paul talks about true ministry. Paul talks about a way to minister among each other in a much more enlightening way. In contrast to those who want to dominate and have power and prestige, Paul in this letter to the Thessalonians says, "We came among you with gentleness, like a mother nursing her infant. We came among you with an affection for you." Paul describes ministry in very feminine terms. Paul doesn't always get credit as the most positive view of women. But in this very earliest letter, and I would suggest that the earlier, this is the first piece of the New Testament, first piece written, the closer you are to the original story, probably the best picture you're getting. And so this picture of ministry of Paul and the missionaries may be the truest one we can get. That he came not with dogma, not with strong theological discussions, but he and those first missionaries came among the people with gentleness, affection, and ministering among them as a mother would be nursing an infant child. Very much in contrast to the first reading and the gospel reading of the kind of style of ministry that was being exercised by priests in the day of Malachi and scribes and Pharisees in the day of Jesus. That seems to me to be pretty much at the heart of the lesson. And the gospel passage today ends with that frequent reminder: you've got to be humble if you want to be exalted. If you exalt yourself, you'll be humble. You'll be humiliated is what you'll be. So you want to be humble in how we approach our vocations. This is the start of National Vocations Week in the Catholic Church. Vocations are something that all of us share. By the virtue of our baptism, we are all called. We're all called to minister in the church. It might not be in this building. More likely it's going to be at home, in your workplaces, on the soccer field. Your ministry is not going to be focused inside the church, but all of us are called to bring into the world that gentleness and affection, that kind of love that Paul describes as his approach to sharing the gospel. I look, as a Franciscan parish, at Francis and Clare. Francis grew up probably absorbing the message that you're better than all those other people because his father was rich. He was part of that rising merchant class of the day in the medieval ages. Even if his father and mother didn't say, "Francis, you're special," You're not like the rest of them. Even if that was never said to him, he kind of absorbed that I'm special. I have a certain privilege based on wealth. Claire was part of the nobility. Certainly, she was probably told, you're not like the people out there on the street. Princess, you're our princess. She was enthralled in a world of privilege as part of the nobility. And yet, somehow, Francis came to that realization that I am no better than anybody else. And Claire heard that message from Francis. Both of them decided to leave behind the prestige, the power, that special place afforded to them, wanting to be among all the other brothers and sisters, especially those who often were counted as not as important, not equal in the eyes of God. Francis humbly served his brothers. He served the people with the worst diseases of the day. He took off all of his tassels and phylacteries, all of his special clothing, and just went among the poor as one of the poor. Claire also stripped herself of royal gowns and gorgeous hair, had it all cut off, and put on the simple garb of a nun. They did not want to be clinging and exalting themselves, but they wanted to be of service to others. It's in that spirit of Francis and Claire that we too want to continue. Our lives are meant to be in mission and ministry to others. Not to exalt ourselves, not to be set apart, and to think ourselves important. One of the results of the Franciscan provinces all joining together is an encouragement among us to be sure that we know we're all brothers, the Franciscans. We're all brothers. This may be hard to do, but that would be like I should forsake that title of father. Just be Brother Al. Still be a pastor, but don't have to be Father Al. We don't need that distinction among us as members of the same community of friars. Just a simple sign of that. But my encouragement to all of us is that we're in this world to be of service to others. We're in this world to be messengers of goodness. And so we want to try, in whatever walk of life is yours, to take on this humility that Jesus talks about. We don't want to be on the two sides of that sandwich where God's not looking very kindly at us. Much rather be in that place, absorbing from someone like Paul, the gentleness, the affection, the loving tenderness of a mother nursing her infant child. It's a beautiful image of what our ministry as baptized people ought to be. So we come together today on this vocation awareness, so that all of us can be aware of our vocation. All of us can be aware of our calling to be of service of the kingdom of God, each in our own distinct way. So may God grant us humble hearts, regardless of we're the waiter at the table or the one being waited upon. important to recognize both of equal importance. That our wealth, what we have, does not set us apart. Doesn't make us better than anybody else. So, pray for that humility, to be mindful of that as we go through our